Welcome back. Final voters register and its national demographics, with the landscape of our electorate shifting dramatically. Understanding who will be casting their votes come the 27th of November is more crucial than ever. Joining us today to discuss the significant changes in voter registration and how these shifts reflect broader societal trends, what they could mean for the upcoming elections, is the Manager of Corporate Communications at the ECN, Mr. Wet Siluka. Wet Siluka, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Ms. Nagatana, and thank you for having me, and good evening to the viewers as well.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Just to start with, Mr. Siluka, I want to talk about the total registered number of voters in Namibia for the 2024 elections and how these figures compare to previous election cycles.
Well, the current statistics on the final voters register indicates that the total registered voters are standing at 1,449,569 as compared to the figures that were released during the provisional voters register, which was then displayed for the process of objection. I must emphasize that when we displayed the provisional voters register for objection, we did not receive any objection. But as a commission, we have a security feature in place where we regularly run what we call the automated fingerprint identification system, which then assists us to detect if there are multiple entries. By multiple entries, I mean if somebody has registered twice.
Right.
Yes. So if somebody has registered twice, there are different security measures in our system. Identification by your ID card. There is identification by your voter's registration number, and there's an identification by your face, and then there's an identification by your fingerprint, which is your biometric. Now, the last thing that we run to compare whether there are multiple entries in the system is the biometric, and that we do it by running the iFace. And when we ran the iFace during this process, during the provision before the final voters register was finally released, we detected that there were about 1,875 multiple entries which were detected, and we removed those. That's why you see the figures also represent about 0.30%, which still stands at the 90% that was announced during the announcement of the provisional voters register. So that's where we stand now. That's the final voters register for the 2024 general registration of voters. But I must also emphasize that when we release the final voters register on the 30th, that marks the end of the 2014 voters register, which was discarded on the 30th, and it cannot no longer be used in our system.
How does the age distribution, Mr. Siluka, of registered voters in the 2024 final voters register reflect Namibia's demographic profile?
Yeah, in terms of age groups, I think you would realize that although the age group between 34 to 18 or 18 to 34 years still stands at about 42%, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, at 42%. You also realize that the age group, if you compare the age group from 1982 to 2006, that is the age group that represents more of the registered voters, with over 900,000 registered voters. And what does that mean to especially political parties who will be contesting in the elections? It means it will assist them with developing their campaign strategies and targeting their, as well as devising proper channels of campaigning and in terms of targeting the population. But also it means that the voting age is more of the young people, And you know, as young people, we already know what is the problem in this country. Most of us don't want to go to polls. So it is up to us now as the electorate, key stakeholders in the electoral processes, the political parties, civil society organization, to assist the ECN, because this is not solely the mandate or the responsibility of the Electoral Commission, but it's a collective effort by all electoral stakeholders to ensure that we then go out and ensure that this 1.4 total registration of voters also goes to cast their vote come 27 November.
Right.
Yes.
What percentage of registered voters in the 2024 final voters register identifies as female?
Interesting. You know, that's why Namibia is a I would say a well-caring country. And if you look at the statistics, just like the NSA statistics, the female still dominates the total registration with over 52% registration, and male, 56%, pardon me. Yeah, 56% of total registration are female, and only 40. Yeah, let me just make sure. Yeah.
Do these figures align though with national gender equality goals in Namibia?
Well, I think they do. In a way, they do.
Yeah.
Because if you look at even the gender representative in parliament, it will already tell you. If you look at the affirmative action, it's also favoring more women than to ensure that we are on the par.
Yeah.
If you go to ECN today, our statistics shows that 50% of the employees of the Electoral Commission are male and 50% are female. But just maybe to go back to the question of the demographics in terms of male-female, it's the national demographic, the national gender demographic shows that 54% is female and 46% is male. So we can see, although
it's a good balance.
It's a good balance.
Which regions were found with the highest concentration of registered voters?
Regions with the highest concentration of voters, we have Kunene as one of the highest that registered about 99%. And then we have all regions like Oshana, the Oshikoto, the Umsati, the Angwena. But also we have seen quite positive registration in all other regions in terms of voter turnout.
Just lastly, before we let you go, of course, we know that the ECN is also present here at the
Yes.
Windhoek Agricultural and Industrial Show. You have a stall here. Tell us what it is that the general public can, come and find out, what information they can get should they visit the ECN stall.
Well, there's quite a number of things or benefits for you to visit the Windhoek show or ECN stand at the Windhoek show. One, we are continuing with our voter and civic education sessions. We provide information on the voting steps. What would you need on that polling day? Where do you start? It's very critical for you to understand where you start on that polling day, from the queue to where you have to cast your votes. Remember, we are running or conducting 2 elections concurrently. That is presidential and National Assembly elections. Yes. So concurrently. So what that means is that we have to educate, or you need to be equipped to know that for presidential, where do I put my ballot, or what happens after I have voted on the presidential? What is the next step for me to vote for National Assembly? So these are steps that we are taking the visitors who are coming to our stand to also do. But also, we are also providing information on general information that you may want to understand on the processes that the ECN conducts. We do not only conduct elections, we also manage referendums. So if you need to know how we are managing and conducting referenda, although that has never happened in our history, it's your time to go and understand the processes that we do. We also do political party registration.
Yes.
If you need to understand those processes, then you come to us, we explain to you Currently we are busy with the nomination of candidates, for example, in political parties. The understanding is that we have already appointed or approved the contesting political parties and candidates, which is not true. So this is the information that we are providing, because the nomination and although the nomination period for political parties opened from the 26th of September, and it will run until 16 October for political parties, whereas for independent candidates it has opened from 26 September, and it will run until 14 October. The public sitting will only be on the 16th October, and only then will we, me, you, and everyone in this country, or everyone that is interested in our electoral system or in our electoral processes for the 2024, know who are the candidates running for presidency, which political parties are contesting for National Assembly election. As it stands now, it's only the nomination and submission of those nominations to us as the Commission. So these are some of the information that you need to come and get. There's also information like, how do I run for an independent candidate? These are the information that we are providing. So we encourage the public who are around to visit our stand and get to know what we do in that white building there and across the regions.
Well, we appreciate your time this evening, and thank you so much for being here with us.
You are most welcome. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
That was Mr. Wet Siluka, who is the Manager of Corporate Communications at the Electoral Commission of Namibia, speaking to us this evening. Of course,